Hi, friends. Um, so, what I want to talk about today is primarily the foundation of integration work, which is the essential foundation for both mind-body recovery and integrating the shadow to become a more whole, individuated human divine being. Okay? And it was a couple of years ago, and I was visiting India, and I was with Amma, my guru, and I had been doing some brain retraining stuff, and it had helped me feel better. But when I found myself in the ashram environment, a lot of things started to come up and the symptoms came back, and the brain retraining stuff was not working at all. And brain retraining has kind of like a disruption thing that you do, and it wasn't working. And I was sitting in front of my guru, Amma, and I just said to her in my heart, I said, I'm fighting myself. Help, you know? And I heard her in my heart say, allow. And with that word of allow also came the transmission, which is an energetic teaching kind of a thing. It's an energetic knowing of how to allow. Okay? And this came into my being and it took hold. And it's been over the last almost 2 years that I've been practicing allowing. And it might sound like a very simple concept, okay? But it is. It's incredibly simple. But it takes practice because of the reasons that I want to talk about, which cause nervous system dysregulation and ultimately symptoms and suffering and the reason why we are dysregulated is because we resist ourself, and we resist ourself in many unconscious ways. Okay? And so allowing is stopping the resistance. Resistance doesn't work, and a lot of brain retraining, it's resistance and then it's trying to change into something different. But the true self is inside. The true self is here. Okay? And it knows where to guide our awareness into where it needs to go to allow. Okay? Now, allowing is, since it's the opposite of resistance, is a major, massive message of safety to the brain. Resistance tells the brain that something is wrong, that we've got a problem. That's why we're fighting ourselves. Okay? Allowing is something that is neutral. It's a neutral, unbiased, not good, not bad, but it opens the door. Okay? And this is what I was talking about in the last video, was we want to open that gate. We want to gain access. Allowing isn't a do thing. Allowing is a connection with self. Okay? And it is self that allows. Okay? So self is what doesn't resist. So if we're using allowing as like a strategy, there's probably resistance in there. So we want to get into pure allowing. And pure allowing is something that connects. connects. And it connects with all the fragmentation, all those fragmented parts that lie in the unconscious. And of course, we can't connect with them in the unconscious. We have to wait till they come into the subconscious and then the conscious. Okay? But allowing can start with just allowing ourselves to be. And this is how I started, and this is what I still do throughout my day. And allowing yourself to be is a connection with your inner self. It's a kind of a coming home. It's bringing presence, the presence of awareness, the presence of self, back to the mind-body complex. Because it's in the mind-body complex that all the fragmentation is happening, right? The mind is the subconscious and unconscious. And in the mind-body complex, we want to start bringing in this message of safety so that that file cabinet of the unconscious starts to open up. Okay? Now, I remember I said it takes practice, and it really does. It isn't something to do like, okay, I'm going to do it for 10 minutes in the morning. This is something you want to do throughout your day. And it's lovely. It's a lovely practice to come home to yourself. But it's going to start to reveal things that might not be very comfortable. Okay? Because it's going to start opening the gate. Okay? So the more you can practice allowing regularly, the more you'll know what it feels like to really allow in a pure way, so that when the really uncomfortable stuff starts to come up, you'll know how to meet it. And that resistance will be less. Because that resistance is what's creating dysregulation. And the resistance happens automatically, okay? Now, we're not using, like I said, we're not using allowing like a strategy to make things feel better or make our symptoms go away. We're using it as self would, because self allows. Self is the pillar in this work, okay? Self is the guidance. We become self-led. And so the more you connect with this inner self through allowing yourself to be, the more that self-led guidance system is going to start to kick in, okay? And there is a couple of things to watch out for, okay? So what we're doing is we're allowing our feelings, and if we have symptoms, we're allowing our symptoms, and we're allowing our thoughts, okay? But we're not believing in the thoughts, and we're not believing in the emotions, and we're not believing in the symptoms. It's a very neutral energy, okay? And it feels like taking this presence and creating a space for whatever wants to be here. And we practice allowing in a way that doesn't have any agenda in it. It's neutral. And it just says whatever is here is safe. And for many of us, it's that presence that the child didn't get, right? Because the child was dismissed, or the parent was unavailable, and whatever it is, that's the story. But what we're giving ourselves now is what wasn't given before. And this is the way we start to come back to ourselves. And this is how this nervous system regulation starts to just unwind. Okay? And like I said, I've been doing it for 2 years now. And I'm getting better at it. And it's leading to some very remarkable things. And even more so, a relationship with self. And that's ultimately where we want to go. And the regulation and the symptom recovery is just kind of a bonus. So I'm going to talk about this a lot more. And, tell me what you think about this. Tell me if there's something that's confusing you. Tell me if there's any questions you might have. I want you just to pay attention to the stories that you might tell, because thoughts are the hindrance, okay? And because they are usually protecting something else. So if you have a lot of thinking going on, allow the thoughts. Because if there's a lot of thinking going on, that means there's a lot of protection happening. And thoughts are like a big distraction. Okay? So by allowing those protectors, those thoughts, we'll start to gain access. But we have to start where we are. This isn't about going digging. It's not about figuring it out. It's not about going into the past and changing something. It's about being where you are, allowing yourself to be right here, right now, as you are. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I want to remind you to please, if you're interested in my videos, to please subscribe and like the video. It really helps, and I want to start building this channel a little bit. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.